Welcome back, everybody. We are feeling pretty good. We got a Leafs 3-1 lead. Last time they had a 3-1 lead, I believe, was like 1987. They have the opportunity to put away the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow night at home in Toronto. But in some other Canadian team news, the Edmonton Oilers swept, as Stephen A. Smith would say, 4-0 by the Winnipeg Jets. So before we talk about hockey, Matt, you wanted to touch on this. Stephen A. Smith talking about hockey. Want to kind of give us your thoughts and recap on that for us?
It's really funny because, like, in the NBA, like, regardless of whose fault it is, you always complain the stars always get all the pressure. So, for example, like how Tristan Jarry threw the puck away, it would be wide Crosby lose the game. Like, you know what I mean? So they switch it wide LeBron lose, wide this player lose, wide this player lose. And Stephen A. doesn't really know a lot about hockey. So we kind of came in with the premise that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are as good as you've been the last 2 years. You lost Chicago in the play-in, and you just got swept. And he said, if I knew a little bit more, I would be all over you guys. That's unacceptable. And he said it kind of in a joking way because he obviously doesn't know the background.
Right.
But a lot of people took it as like, this is the NBA. It's a team sport. Why are you yelling at them? Oh, we don't want people like this in hockey. And I'm like, guys, like say what you want. He's probably the biggest sports commentator. And like just the fact that he's talking about your sport in Edmonton, Canada, I think you should be a little more thankful and be a little more happy that it's becoming like an international sport, I would say. So that's just kind of my take on it. I do think it's funny because like I do kind of agree with Stephen A. Smith a little bit that like if there's 3 overtimes in the playoffs and I have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I'm expecting them to score probably once in those 3 overtimes. So I don't know. That's my take on the situation.
Stephen A. Smith talking about hockey, it kind of made my morning when I saw it yesterday because it sounded like somebody, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all, it sounded like somebody who had researched the sport for 10 minutes and then went to rant about it. So I don't know, you guys have probably done this. You know how you have a presentation in school and you just kind of recap the unit the day before or the night before or the morning of, and then you just kind of go up there and talk about nothing, but it's good and everybody enjoys it. That's kind of what it reminded me of. It was entertaining and he wasn't wrong in what he said. It just had that vibe to it.
Why?
It was just, I just found it comedic. We've never seen anybody talk about hockey like that on Sportsnet or TSN or the NHL Network. He brought the way he presented it was entertaining, and he was like, I don't know, we've never seen anything like that in hockey.
I would rather people talk about it like that than we do now. Like all the sports broadcasts.
Oh, so would I. Don't get me wrong. It was
so
entertaining as hell. I loved it.
Yes. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like how we expand the game when people get mad at that. When, no offense, if you have the 2 best players in the world, I don't think you should get swept ever. Like, I don't think that's a crazy statement to say. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
No, I know what you're saying. Brandon, did you see?
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
I'm good. Welcome back, buddy.
Sorry, but I'm fired up. There's
so much. It's been a while since we've all been on the same show.
I know. Want to tell us what you've been up to?
Nah, well, if you're a committed subscriber, you've seen me and Matt and I talk about the NBA a couple nights ago and trying to get those promoted a little bit more. And I'm obviously wearing my Clippers and a little bit of anxiety today for them, but more importantly over the Stephen A. Smith stuff we're talking about. I'm more happy just to see all 3 of us back together talking. And it's been hard. Yeah, no, back to work for me, I guess. And hopefully all the boys can get vaccinated and maybe catch a couple cold ones soon. We were talking about. So
happy belated birthday to Matt. 19 now.
Yeah, happy birthday to Matt for sure. I will say that on the show. And are you talking about if I've seen the Stephen A. Smith situation? I mean, yeah, that was exciting to watch, especially if you're a sports fan, like in the States, right? He talks about NFL and NBA all the time, and he gives NHL a little bit of light and personality too. Speaking of personality, I thought it was hilarious how Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take or whatever, while he stepped down and joined TNT today. It was kind of
hand in hand, right?
A little bit out of pocket for the great one, but we'll see how that looks. But nice to see you guys.
Do you think he's nice to see you too, buddy? Do you think he's going to do a good job in that role?
He's never been a personality for me, so it's going to be interesting. I guess it's the first time thing, right? Like, what do you think? I think it's kind of like you can't. Josh loves this one. You can't beat a dead horse. Like, how can you make Wayne Gretzky act different than he already is?
I think
I feel like that's not the saying, and I can't remember what the actual saying is, so I'm just gonna keep going with that one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one either. But I don't know. I think everyone would do a good job if they just tee up the questions a little more. Like, I feel like in intermission or before the game, they talk so much like about specific plays when it's like, hey, like I don't need to be seeing a dump in by the third line. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So I think they keep it more like not hockey nerd, and they just talk more hockey more broadly. Like, what makes McDavid a really good player? Oh, Wayne, have you ever seen someone this dominant when you played? And they got more of a personal aspect, like kind of what we do. I think it would be a lot more fun. But if they're just talking X's and O's, it's going to be so boring.
Yeah, the thing with having I've never seen Gretzky be a personality. So my gut is telling me that it's not going to be very good. But did we all think John Tortorella was going to be a personality when he joined TSN way back when? I don't remember what the initial reaction to that was, and I think he did an okay job. So we'll see how it is. It's kind of like the whole Brian Burke thing, right? Did you guys enjoy Burke on Sportsnet? I thought he was a personality. His radio hits were always pretty good. Is it going to go like that, or who knows? Who knows what we're going to get? Speaking of Wayne Gretzky, he stepped down as what was his job? Vice president of the Oilers?
No clue.
No idea what it was. The day after the Oilers get swept 4-0. Was this connected? He probably didn't leave because the Oilers got swept, but he probably left because the Oilers season ended. So let's get to the Oilers, because I don't think Gretzky leaving has any impact on the Oilers offseason, right? We don't even know what he was doing. I think it was more of a figurehead. So Oilers lose 4-0. Brandon, what went wrong in that series?
I guess it's how you look at it. It could be what went right for the Jets, and they locked down the two biggest stars in the NHL in 4 games, and that's all it took them. First 2 games limited them both to 0 points, or McDavid at least to 0, and essentially deemed useless the whole rest of the series. Obviously, a couple of the games went to overtime, and I think Josh and I were talking about it maybe game 2 or game 3, just how unfortunate it is to be Mike Smith, knowing that you maybe weren't expecting to have this type of weight put on you and pressure at your old age with essentially the greatest hockey player put in front of you. And I think like when you put Connor Hellebuck in a kind of situation where they've been before, which is deep in the playoffs recently, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I was so skeptical. I'm sure you had me and everyone else saying the Oilers in a couple more than 6 or something, but the Jets just proved dominant. And Paul Stastny's like a veteran presence, reminded me of a couple of the guys on the Leafs who are like Thornton and Spezza, providing that kind of just steady push. And I don't know. I see this as a much greater worry for the Leafs potentially than the Oilers would have been.
Matt, what do you think?
Well, Brandon, I understand what you're saying, but to be completely honest, I don't really care about the Winnipeg Jets regardless. Like, that's not the storyline, in my opinion. Like, they did what I thought they could do. I knew Connor was good. I knew Ehlers was good. I knew Hellebuck had the potential to play the way he did. Like, he's one of the best.
They got out coached too.
Matt, you said Oilers. Matt, you took the Oilers.
Paul Maurice.
I know, but I'm not surprised what the Jets did. Like, did they do anything that shocked you in the series? Like, they
won
Jets.
Okay. Yeah, they won it by 4.
I meant that's not what I meant. I meant from like an actual playing hockey perspective. What I took out of this is the Edmonton Oilers don't have the personnel on the ice to compete at any level. Like, no offense to all of their players, but literally it was 3 overtimes and they scratched their whole 4th line, and Ethan Bear and Slater Coco didn't play at all. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like when you play 2 hockey games in one, you can't only roll 2 forward lines and 2 D pairs. So no offense to Tippett. Maybe the guys just weren't that good. Tippett, Holland, they built a really poor team in that aspect to like, it's not a recipe for success doing that, first of all. And it's so annoying that I saw some people going after Mike Smith. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like the 39-year-old goalie is your only problem. And you think that, so, but Brandon, not just you. I mean, everybody. Josh, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, Let me finish. Wait, so what I'm trying to say is every player in Edmonton is asked to do too much and something they can't do. Like, I saw McDavid after. He's like,
that's bullshit. Not every player. There's 2 players that are asked to do too much. That's McDavid and Draisaitl. They've been asked to carry this team. They essentially were asked to carry this team through the playoffs.
Alex Chason was on the goddamn power play, Josh. I think that's asking a little too much.
Yes, that's out of his wheelhouse. He shouldn't be
That's
asked
my
to do that.
point. That's what I just said.
I understand what you're saying, but realistically, you cannot ask
Whose
Alex
fault is that?
Chason to
Alex
do.
Chason's or the management for not having someone there?
That's what I'm saying, but you cut me off, Josh. You didn't let me finish my point.
You were
What
taking too long.
We're all cutting each other off. But
Well,
it's fine.
dude, I mean, like, it's a podcast, so, like, it's important.
No, I know.
But,
That's
like,
why I
what
said I
I'm,
enjoy it. I don't even know where it's going.
yeah, Josh, I don't know what's happening. Anyways, my point and what I'm trying to say is that you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl who do everything, and you have no one going with them. And then when I'm watching, Chris Russell is in their top 4. Like, I don't understand how that's like, you know what I'm trying to say? So it goes all to Ken Holland. Everyone talks about the quote. He said, "Oh, I didn't feel like we had to go in this year, and I didn't feel like there was pressure on us to be competitive in the playoffs." Well, no offense, when you have McDavid, Draisaitl doing what they do, like, that should forward your plans a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, start trading draft picks. Let's get her going here. You know what I'm trying to say? So I just look at it, and no offense to Tippett, like I said, you don't play anybody. And, like, it's not realistic that McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nurse, especially, a lot of people don't talk about him, can come out every other shift for 6 periods and win a game. Like, I kind of look at it as they're not deployed properly. They have guys who are asked to do too much, like I don't even know. It doesn't matter.
Archibald.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Alex Chason, Adam Larson, Kyle Torres. Like, I'm just so sick of this shit. Like, I want to see McDavid with actual good players. And when you look at what happened in the offseason with the salary cap crunch, there were really good players who were deep into the offseason, didn't have teams. Like, I look at Duclair, and there's a few Hoffman, Duclair. Like, there are a few other ones. So, like, no offense to Edmonton, this whole excuse that, like, oh, yeah, we can't do anything, like, it's kind of fucking ridiculous. And the thing that also bothers me that they're all saying is we have $20 million in cap space. Well, no offense, Edmonton, but I don't think anyone's going to come out. And also, they have to re-sign Hopkins. McDavid said he wants to re-sign Larson, whatever. I don't know why, but apparently he's in their core. So, yeah, I think they're a mess, to be honest with you.
Why are you so heated about the Oilers?
Because, dude, like, it's actually kind of like I kind of look at it like me and Brandon are big basketball fans, and wasted talent and wasting years of players' prime is really important. So I think everyone in hockey should be kind of upset because, like, when you pick McDavid, Draisaitl, if you did it right, they should have already got a ring by now. And I think the whole hockey world should be upset that we don't get to see Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in the playoffs. That's why, Josh.
Okay, dude, I'm pissed off about it too. I'm not as pissed off as you are. Apparently, you sound like a diehard Oilers fan.
No, you were being condescending.
No. Like, you were like really I love that. Like, that was good. You brought up some good points. So I'll ask both of you guys this: does this failure in the playoffs, can you trace it back to the trade deadline where they did pretty much next to nothing?
I just did.
Okay, so you can, yes. You didn't say that directly.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it depends. There wasn't too much out there, but you can't blame. I don't think you can just blame it on that, right? You had a whole off season, and sure, you didn't necessarily add anything to it, but I wasn't expecting a sweep.
No, neither was I, man. That sweep, that shocked me. And as soon as I stayed up to watch that triple overtime game. As soon as I saw it going to overtime, I'm like, there's no way the Oilers win this. They can't. Nothing went right for them in that series. Nobody was scoring. The defense outside of Darnell Nurse didn't look very good. I don't think you can put this on Mike Smith. 3 of the games went to overtime. And the Oilers fans say,
I get it. I brought up Mike Smith.
I know, but you can't put it on him. So how do they fix this? Because they keep saying they got $20 million in cap space. They got to re-sign a lot of their players. So where do they go from here?
This so much? To be honest, I could care less.
It's important.
Not that I don't care about you guys, but like McDavid got swept, and we're out here talking about Mike Smith. It's not hit. Like,
well, no,
yeah,
I'm asking what they do in the offseason. Like, what do they do? Like, how do you make this team better? Who are you surrounding McDavid with to make them better?
Relocate.
Okay, so here's another narrative coming out of this. McDavid is not a good leader. Okay, take a look at his body language, his facial expressions on the bench. We've all been in a dressing room. We know when you're captain or one of your leaders, we know that toxicity can travel throughout the locker room and it gets the whole team down. So could this be a factor in that all, where McDavid's just not ready to lead a team? Don't get me wrong, he's a great hockey player. I think we can all agree on that. But being a great hockey player and being able to lead a hockey team is 2 different things.
Wait, do you not think he's a good leader? Say your opinion before I go.
I don't think he's a good. I don't think. I do think he's a good hockey player. I don't think he's a good leader at all.
Um, I think it's fair to say he failed leading his team to one playoff win. That's fair to say. But saying you're not a,
since he was the captain.
I know, but I think I don't know. I just to kind of change the question a bit. I think it's more they didn't deliver in the playoffs, like as a group, like collectively, like all 23 people. But if you do want to talk about McDavid and Draisaitl, I do think they should win you at least a game, especially
100%.
against Winnipeg. So
They
I look at it like
series.
They have the ability to win your series. Maybe not against Winnipeg just because they do have Connor Hellebuck, but like winning, especially going into overtime. When you look at all the overtime goals, you think of a Crosby, Bergeron scored I don't know how many overtime goals. Like you know what I mean? Like Patrick Kane, like all those guys who just always score overtime goals. And like I said, if someone told me at the beginning of the series it's going to go to 3 overtimes, and I have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I think I'm going to win probably 2 or 3 of those overtimes just because they're that good. And if they don't win, I think they should point at each other and say we should have scored in this scenario. But when I think about the whole series and all of it, it comes down to obviously more than just that. But like I do agree with Stephen A. Smith that they came up short as a group, and especially them two. And I wanted them to do better. And I think they probably think the exact same. Another thing that bothers me is I don't know if it's just us or just everybody, but like people like kiss this guy's ass like a little way too much. Like one of the questions after the game to McDavid is like, Connor, you said you need to get better. How are you going to get better? Like, what do you like? How do you possibly like? He said like, how can you humanly possibly get better? And I'm like, I'm sorry, did we not watch the same series? Like no one's a perfect hockey player, and I think that's kind of stupid. Like, and McDavid said, oh, face-offs. Mentally, I could be better. Leadership, harder on the puck. Like everybody has stuff to get better at, and I don't understand why the Canadian media loves him so much and doesn't think he needs to get better at it. Like what? Crosby's been getting better for the last 20 years. Matthews gets better. Everyone needs to get better. So I just think Canadian media, it's so weird that everyone worships McDavid in the aspect of he can't be blamed for anything. It's like even he tried to take some responsibility and said, I don't need to be better. So I don't understand why like no pressure is on him. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
I get it. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but the Oilers just fell short. I don't think we're going to get answers until the start of next season. We'll see what they do in the offseason. Let's move on to a more positive note. The Leafs have a 3-1 lead over the Montreal Canadiens. There's been 2 games. They had a back-to-back, game 3 and game 4. Leafs win the first one 2-1, on surviving a late push by the Montreal Canadiens. Jack Campbell played really well, and then they followed it up with a game last night in which they won 4-0, and Jack Campbell played even better. So let's open with this question. What's been the difference in this series, Brandon? I'd love to get your thoughts on that one.
I'd say, wow, leadership is coming off of that last McDavid discussion. I believe that it was evident last night, but like the bottom 6 yet core leaders on our team, Spezza, Thornton, and even Galchenyuk isn't necessarily core or a leader, but he's bottom 6.
He stepped up.
We're stepping up in ways that I don't even know if I want to say it, but I'm not sure if we're necessarily possible if John Tavares or Nick Foligno weren't out of the lineup. Unfortunately, with those 2 having absences, I feel as if though it still hinders us on the paper, but you can definitely see almost everyone, including Austin Matthews and William Nylander, has enhanced their care, give a shit level and effort, maybe 2 or 3-fold, and that trickles all the way down to Riley Nash, you could say. So I think that it's positive to see Jack Campbell go back to back and say just as strong, getting a shutout in one of those. And I believe that it's looking good in terms of this first series, having our veterans take over what is a very young Montreal Canadiens team, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki or whatever. And I think that although Mitch Marner hasn't played to some of our standards and Austin Matthews hasn't put the puck in the back of the net, William Nylander is breaking a little bit of a record, going 4 goals in 4 straight games in a long time for a Maple Leaf. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him. But my main message here is that I'm really impressed by Spezza and Thornton. Extremely.
That main difference.
Well, I know we're Leaf fans, so we always think what the Leafs do, but I kind of think it's more what Montreal doesn't do. And they had 4 goals in 4 games. So I just kind of think like that's kind of it. Like I know the Leafs, like we have been really good, but like I think that's kind of all there is to it. Like they only score 4 goals in 4 games. So score more than 2 goals and you win the game.
Pretty
but
much.
in respect to the Leaf players, like you do got to give credit where credit's due. Yeah, it's not even a lot of top guys like you guys said that are going. It's like it's even Engvall's played good for Christ's sake. So like I don't know, like you know what I mean? Like it's all the unseen heroes. And Kerfoot had 3 assists last game, and someone told me that Kerfoot got 3 assists in a playoff game. I'd say, wow, the Marlies are really good. So I just think that I think the Leafs are buzzing in all cylinders. We have 4 lines that are going, and pretty exciting. I think we're win on Thursday. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, last night that win was on the bottom 6. Like I know Nylander scored, but I thought the bottom 6 played phenomenal. That 4th line of Spezza, Thornton, and Brooks stood out so much. Like I saw it on the game sheet before the Leafs tweet out their lineups, and when I see that, it was just I was like, okay, this line is interesting. It has potential. They played well together in the regular season, but the playoffs, it's a different beast. I thought they stepped up and had a great job. Seeing Spezza score last night, seeing Jumbo Joe score last night, that was probably one of the best. Hey, Brandon, waving to the camera. That was probably one of the best stories to come out of the playoffs. Because last night, I think the veterans won us that game. Like, I don't know about you guys. That is how I felt. When we get to the superstars on the Leafs, do they have more to give? Like, I know Matthews had a good game 2 and a game 3, but I wouldn't say he was invisible last night, but I wouldn't say he had an impact on the game. Mitch Marner may as well not be playing. I know he has 2 assists or 3 assists or whatever it is, but he hasn't hit that playoff mode yet. Nylander has stepped up. He is playing playoff hockey. He's got 4 goals in 4 games. If he had 3 goals in 4 games, I still think he would be playing fantastic. What do we think about the superstars and how they're playing?
Yeah, I think when you're up 3-1, it's really hard to criticize the team that's up 3-1. So, but I know that like we do kind of have to go on a deep dive. So I think Marner and Matthews is actually just more in terms of some bad luck. Like I don't know how many good saves that Price has made on Marner. So they're getting their chances. And what's kind of important is when they're on the ice, the Habs can't generate anything. So even if they're not scoring, they still have the puck the whole time. So I think you kind of look at it as a neutral shift and they change momentum. Matthews, I think, is averaging like 5 hits a game. Yep. You see him smirking in scrum. Right. So I think there's like other attributes and other stuff that are doing that's benefiting us winning. So yeah, I don't really care. But like you did say, Josh, when we do play Winnipeg, I think will be a different story because they do have more of the star power. So it is going to be more Marner versus Scheifele, Matthews versus Connor, that type of stuff. But as of right now, I don't really see it as a problem. And I think it is kind of encouraging that Matthews is playing physical.
Yeah, Brendan. So obviously you've played the highest level of hockey out of all of us. When you went into a playoff series and your superstar on the team, which you're going to say it was you, we'll believe you for this argument's sake. When you got physical, if your superstar gets physical on the team, does that encourage the rest of the team to do that? And does it rub off positively on the team?
Yeah, 100%. It's almost, I guess, I don't even know. What are the words for when?
Inspirational?
No. Like when you're asking a question, but the answer's already there. I think that pretty goes without saying that if you're witnessing your leader and most impactful player on the score sheet take a stride into the direction of passionate, prideful, and hardworking hockey away from the puck. You know what I mean? Like away from scoring and touching the puck every second. I think that Matthews is carrying himself as if, you know, he's been doing this for almost 10 years. And I think, you know, the way he doesn't react to those scrums when he's getting pulled away and he's smiling and we're laughing and he's asking what he's doing wrong. And I'm wondering why he's balding at age 22, yet he's smiling, having a great time underneath these scrums, yet not fighting back, taking misconducts like a young, irrational, immature player, which is great. And I think that rubs off on guys like Sandin, even Nylander and Marner, staying out of the box. I mean, some of the chinchiest only penalties we've had are the puck over glass ones. So I think that the Habs have nothing else to resort to other than like underneath the whistle, dirty stuff at the net, and penalties that'll entertain, you know, it's guys like Wayne Simmons and Jake Muzzin. But I think when you see Matthews not fight back on after the whistle stuff and, he plays strong in between the whistles, in front of the net, and doesn't need to score to be effective. Personally, I always remember my captain blocking shots. When he blocked shots, he put his ankles, his face, his back, his wrists, anything in front of the puck to help our goalie not go through it. Some of those things were the biggest that I remember, and those were just as big as goals. The bench would go so loud over a really nice block shot.
Yeah, Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Just kind of like all the it's just everyone's in, and you kind of look at the playoffs and other series. You need as many guys as you can going, blocking shots, doing all that type of stuff. So I think it's been very intense in our series and other series. I think like the Canadians don't have like the Canadians division. I mean, we don't have the same juice because there's no fans, so it still kind of feels like the regular season. So it hasn't really gotten to that level that you see other series like Pittsburgh Islanders or even Carolina.
Sorry to cut you off, Matt, but do you think that is the difference, or do you just think it's because it's really the way that you think that I think that too, but I've seen some people say it's the way the Canadian teams are built. I think the crowd makes a huge difference.
No, those people are morons. I think
yes, but you throw a big hit, you hear the crowd cheering. You're gonna want to throw another big hit.
And not even that. I just see some of the refs getting suckered into penalties because there's 12,000 people chanting "Ref, you suck." So they do a makeup call. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's other attributes than just the fans going wild. Like, some of that small stuff, communication. Like, I hear everything Matthews and them are screaming at each other. Like, oh, yeah, pucks, dump it. Oh, yeah. Just that type of stuff. But I think when you have a crowd, it's not like that at all. And you kind of feel more like just the juice gets flowing a little bit. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, hits and all that stuff. So I do think the Canadian team is not as intense because there is no crowd. And I just hope there's a crowd soon, to be honest with you. I know Montreal game 6, we probably won't go to game 6. But anyways, the fans will come out sometime in Ontario. And I do think.
Yeah, next season.
Yeah, okay.
We were just allowed to golf again. So,
Let's touch on another series.
Well, I got one more question. Does this wrap up in 5? Yes or no?
I hope it. Actually, see, I was thinking about this, but I would love to beat them in game 6 with all their fans because they're getting excited. I think it's game 7. And then we just destroy them 7-0. Like, I think that would be so much more fun.
I think that would be hilarious, but I don't even want to allow them the satisfaction of being in the building. That's such fucking bullshit. They're allowed to be in the building, but people over here can't. Like, no. Kill them 8-0 in game 7. Matthew should skate off the ice and flip off the camera and say we won't see it at the Bell Center.
Yeah, I agree. It has to end in 5.
And then we can get going against the Jets.
Have fans back in it. That's your motivation to win it in 5 as a Leaf and as Sheldon Keefe. That's your message, maybe. Like, boys, like, fuck it. We're not having their head. We're not letting this. This is a complete advantage if we lose this game. And although you're still up 3-2, you could argue that it's pretty nerve-wracking.
We're up 3-1. Oh, you mean after? I know what you mean. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Okay, my bad. All right. The Avalanche sweep of the Blues. This series was just kind of like watching a murder. It wasn't. We all knew how it was going to happen. The Avalanche outscored them. What was it, 20-7, with 6 empty netters. There was no chance.
Yeah, Nazem Kadri got a suspension longer than the series lasted, even half. So
there you go. So what are the Blues thinking here? Like, is it a reflection on them or on how bad they are, or is it a reflection on how good the Avalanche are?
I think it's a little bit of both. I just kind of look at McKinnon and them are at another level. But I think if you're playing a team in a series, you can't get swept regardless. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you get swept in the playoffs, especially the first round, you have to look in the mirror. And no offense to St. Louis, but, like, I don't understand how you could let your captain walk like a year after winning a cup, and the captain is still one of the best defensemen in the NHL, and he's still in his 20s. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I just kind of think St. Louis, like, they're trying to, like, I think what they don't understand is when they won a cup, it wasn't because they were playing 2000 hockey. Like, they were fast. Like, they were hitting. They were playing a good structured game. But I think they've signed guys like Kyle Clifford, and I think they're just trying to go back into 2010, and Colorado's playing, like, 2030 hockey. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think they're buzzing. Their defensemen were so fast. They couldn't guard anybody. And I think if you're St. Louis, I think you should retool a little bit, clear up some cap space, and get some young guys in the lineup.
Does this, like, Binnington is now going into a $6 million, is it 6 over 5 or 6 over?
6 times 6.
6 times 6. Is he going to be able to fulfill his contract?
I think he will.
I don't know how much you guys watch of Binnington. I'm kind of worried about that contract. I think he's going to have 1 or 2 good seasons, but I think the other 4 are going to be, damn, I don't know if he can make that money. Because goalies are so weird, right? Like when it comes to contracts, you don't know what you're going to get. And I can't really blame the Blues for signing him to that after the Cup win because he took them to a Cup. I know they didn't sign him after the Cup win, but he did win them a Cup. Is this going to reflect poorly on the Blues, especially after the disappointment of the sweep? We don't know what they're going to do next year. What do we think about that? Then we'll move on to the Avalanche.
I think it's kind of how they're built. Like I said, like I think when you look at Bennington's career, like AHL, this AHL team, that, and it's been such a roller coaster that you go from 0 to 100 so fast and literally winning the Stanley Cup. Like he went from like what, the 4th goalie to winning a Stanley Cup in like 6 months.
Well, we all know the story behind that, right? Bro Dirk
Yeah.
told him you're going to go to the ECHL, and he said, no, I'm not.
Exactly. So I just think you kind of get a little, and then like you said, you have the success in your first year, and you think, okay, I'm going to be the next Carey Price or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Or just like an all-time great goalie. And when it doesn't happen and you see your captain leave and you get bounced in the first round 2 years in a row, you might start to question yourself. So I think a lot of his play is just frustration. So I think once you do get a solid team and then you kind of relax a little bit, the divisions go back to normal, I think you'll tighten up and calm down as a goalie. So I just think for him, it's more hot-headed, but I'd rather have a goalie that's hot-headed, that cares too much and doesn't know how to control his emotion, than someone who just stands there and does it. And like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like at least he's into it. So I think I think Bennington's least of their worries. Like I think you need a more competitive hockey team with better skaters because they could not skate at an NHL level compared to Colorado. So maybe Colorado's just a juggernaut, but I do think they need to improve their just overall team.
Brandon, for you, Kadri's, his appeal, his suspension appeal is going to be heard tomorrow by Gary Bettman. Are they going to reduce it, do you think?
I'd like to see them do it, to be honest with you. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm going to explain my thinking, talk out loud here, but in relation to like recency bias, like Tom Wilson only getting fined and a couple of interesting like explanations for suspensions lately, especially by the George Peros. I think that the 8 games was like, you were like kind of, I mean, Josh, you kind of like almost guessed it. You did say 8 games the day before, but even then, like that was kind of a laughable stretch. You know what I mean? Like,
so that's the thing, right? Like because it was Kadri, I knew it was going to be 8. I don't think it does. In the playoffs, is that 8 games though? Because they always say Peros has come out and said.
Does someone know do any of you know the injury status of the guy who got hit? Like, how is he doing?
Didn't he play the next game?
I have no idea what happened to Justin Falk, but like,
I mean, he got swept, so
yeah, they got swept, so it doesn't really matter.
That's what I'm trying to say. Obviously, like you take into consideration what happens to the guy who got hit and on the other end of the situation. But I mean, it's gonna be interesting to hear. I guess I'm excited now to know that that's tomorrow. Not excited, but like it's interesting to hear what will happen. I don't know how many games it would come down. I don't think that. I think it could come down to 7, and I would be okay with that. But we'll see.
See, I think it goes down to 6, 5 or 6. Like Gary's gonna say, okay, maybe he just says you can come back after the second round.
What does the Matt have to say?
Well, doesn't he only have 7 games left?
Which is at the end. Well, yeah, I guess so.
No, but
so like relatively speaking, you'll be in the conference final regardless.
Like if they play games and it hasn't been passed down, like it doesn't add up until there's another ruling made or something like that. Like
no, it's retroactive.
No, yeah, he's already been suspended. Yeah, he's already. I think game 4 he was suspended for, so he has 7 left, and they might play Vegas. It looks like so. I think that's probably gonna go 7. But even if it goes 5 or 6, he'll be here for the conference finals. So I think, no offense to Kadri, I don't know why you do appeal. Maybe they know something we don't. Because
so that just shows me he wants to play playoff hockey because the players don't get paid for the playoffs. So
no, but I'm just saying I don't see it getting overturned because of all the other stuff he's done. And no offense to Kadri, but like especially on that hit, how do you give him the benefit of the doubt when that's literally the hit they show at the beginning of every year saying don't do this? And I think hockey's done a really good job on getting rid of those type of hits, and he just brought it back. And he's done so much shit before. Like if I'm Kadri, I'm just sitting this suspension out. Like I don't understand why they appeal. That's why I'm saying maybe they know something we don't, and that it will get reduced because I wouldn't reduce it at all.
Yeah, they probably, we'll see. He's back for the conference finals either way. So if they can get by Vegas or Minnesota, we'll see. Let's move on to Vegas, Minnesota. Matt, what have you thought of that series so far?
I don't know if you guys watched the last game, but it was so entertaining. Minnesota only had like 2 shots in the last period and a half. Like it was
weren't the final shots like 40-14, and
it was hilarious.
Minnesota won 4-1.
Minnesota is like half Leafs from like when we were bad and half Islanders. Like they don't score a lot. It's chaos. They ask a lot from Talbot, who's been playing really good. You got to give him a lot of credit. So I just kind of think Minnesota's done, and I want Vegas to end it tonight, I think. But yeah, man, it's been very entertaining because it does kind of feel like Minnesota just hold on, and Vegas is trying to go. But like, I don't know, man. I just think there's something off about Vegas. Like, I do think Colorado will beat them because I don't know if it's they don't have a number one center or they kind of have a lot of players coming in and out every year. Like they trade everyone, they do a big free agent signing, big trade. But I just feel like if you're Vegas, you got to finish it pretty quickly here because in Game 7, anything could happen. But sure. I do take Vegas to win.
Brandon, what about you? What's Minnesota and Vegas both thinking here? 3-2. That's kind of a pivotal.
We got a huge game.
We got 3 pivotal games tonight.
Going without said, in the NHL, lots of NBA going on. By the way, yeah, I honestly was surprised that Minnesota snuck away with the last one there, and Matt brings up great kind of comparisons. I think like bringing them back to a least exciting team with a little bit of young talent and a little bit of structure with the Islanders. It's interesting, but I still don't think that that's enough to worry the. I think obviously to Matt's point, I do think that the Golden Knights should finish it tonight. I wasn't too I haven't been too worrisome about the depth of the Knights and the fact that they would be playing the Avalanche next series. I mean, without Kadri, who knows how that could go? Maybe it could be really an interesting fairness series. I don't know how much of an edge Kadri gives or whatever, but I think that, in my opinion, with that being said and Kadri being out for what seems to be that series, I would say that Vegas still has my opinion to keep going in the West.
Yeah, I think Vegas will come out of this. I think they'll be in 7, though. I think Minnesota might sneak one out tonight somehow. I'm not sure how. And I actually think it will make Vegas panic, and they'll switch up their goalie situation for Game 7. So we'll see what happens there. Let's move on. The Washington Capitals were eliminated in 5 games by the Boston Bruins. Watching Chara shake the hands of all the Bruins was kind of like weird, I guess, because he was best friends with all of them in that handshake line, but he wasn't in that series. I guess that's hockey for you. What do we think about the Capitals here? And I guess we can kind of talk about the Ovechkin contract coming up. Matt, I'll ask you first. Did Washington play the best they can, or were they kind of falling apart from within the change room?
Yeah, I think in playoffs is so much like having momentum coming in and Washington, like they didn't even. I don't even know if anyone tested positive for COVID. Josh, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I just feel like
I think 1 or 2 guys did. I don't remember who, but yeah.
They struggled so much with just the protocols that like.
Now we all know it was one player, and that one player was Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Thank you, Josh. And I see so many Capitals fans calling for his head. And Josh, you were kind of on this wave a little early. Like I think even before the playoffs started, you said, "I don't think that's how I was going to make it." And like. But I don't think you could trade him knowing him and Ovi are like close, like friends, Russian. Because if you trade him, I think that just says Ovi, okay, I'm not going to resign her, or even not resign. Okay, now it's $1 million more, and you can't put that money in other places. So I kind of think like when your best player is a free agent, like you saw it with Tom Brady, Kawhi, like you kind of have to bend over and do whatever they want.
Okay, Matt, let me ask you this.
Wait.
Yeah.
Before we go in, you guys all saw the same thing saying this morning that the Capitals GM said everyone's like movable except for Ovechkin and Backstrom.
And Backstrom.
But he can't trade Ovi anyway. He's a free agent.
But we're talking about Kuznetsov. Like I think he's out the door.
Oh, he's definitely gone. And Matt, let me ask you this. What is Ovi's main goal? He's made $150 to $200 million in his NHL career.
I hate when people say that.
Hang on, let me finish my point. He's made his money. Okay. What is his main goal now? Is he looking for a payday? Yes or no?
Dude, people don't.
Or is he looking for anher cup? He's looking for another cup.
But what I'm trying to tell you,
Kuznetsov stopped him from getting another cup by flagrantly disobeying.
That's not
the
how he
COVID
thinks. I'll bet you anything. That's not how he's thinking right now.
If Brandon was on my team and he was stopping me from getting another, Brandon, I love you, but if you stop me from winning a Stanley Cup and because you wanted to go to the, I don't even know where Kuznetsov was. Let's say he was at Taco Bell licking the tables or whatever, like breaking COVID protocol. And he came back and he was like, oh yeah, boys, I can't play tonight because I broke COVID protocol. If I'm Ovechkin, I'm pissed.
No, but Josh, Ovi broke protocol with him the first time. And Ovi was mad about that. So Ovi already thinks the COVID protocol is dumb. His wife went on a rant saying it was dumb.
Yeah, they broke that by hanging out. That was bullshit. They were caught hanging out in a hotel room. That's a little different than what Kuznetsov was apparently.
We don't know what Kuznetsov did.
Kuznetsov didn't get the message and continued.
Exactly. Ovi learned from his mistake. Kuznetsov was like, that's okay. I'm going to go to Taco Bell anyway.
You don't know he went to goddamn Taco. You don't know.
I'm using it as an example.
No, but I'm just saying, like, COVID protocol, like, it actually literally just be he shook hands with his mailman and the mailman tested positive 2 hours later. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
That happened 3 times this season?
What I'm trying to say is I don't really think I could point at someone and just be like, oh, you messed up COVID protocol. All your teammates hate you. You're out the door. Maybe management thinks that. But if I'm Ovi and I have management's ear, I think I'm going to talk them down and say, we've won a cup. Me and him train together all the time. Let's do this one more time. What do you need me to, like, take on this cap hit? What I'm trying to tell you is if you trade Kuznetsov before you have Ovi signed, Ovi could be like, you know what? You just sent $7.8 million out the door. Sauce me another 3 or 4. So, or I want 4 years instead of 5. Or I want this, I want that, I want this. So what I'm trying to say to you is that I don't think it's likely that Kuznetsov gets traded because it's a salary cap is staying flat. It's $7.8 million. And if you're a team acquiring him, maybe you think there's baggage. Like, you have to remember, he tested positive for cocaine and he got banned from international, like, games. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So you don't know what's really happening. So I think Washington knows him the best. Therefore, he might stick with him. And also, if you're Washington trading him, it's not like you're trading him for picks. You want pieces back. So what team is really able to acquire a first, second line center kind of in between? Okay, I don't think you should say that. But anyways, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think it's a lot more of the situation. So I don't really think it's just trade everyone out the door. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's kind of a dark stain on the Capitals season, I guess. Let's just quickly chat about Ovechkin's next contract. Is he a Capital, and what does that contract look like? I'll start. I think he is a Capital, and I think what happens is he sacrifices salary, and the Capitals sacrifice term. So he might say, I want $10 million over 3 years, and the Capitals will counter by saying, okay, well, we can give you 8 over 5. Does that sound about right?
I know what you're trying to say. I don't really look at that just because in terms of, like, once you get older, you see, like, kind of Thornton and just some other guys. They take a 1 year. So I don't know if Ovi's at that stage, but I don't think he'll go a 4 or 5 year deal. I think it will be kind of what Backstrom did, which I think was 3 years at maybe the same cap hit.
You got to remember, those guys are looking for a cup, so they'll take league min. Ovi's got his cup.
No, sorry, I meant like what Thornton did before he took. I think he had 1 year, year at $8 million, 1 year at 5. So I think Ovi, it's more. I don't think he cares, to be honest with you. But what I'm trying, so it could be whatever. But I don't think you're gonna see Ovi make 7 or 5 million. Like, I think it will still be like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's still going to be a huge cap. I would not be surprised if it's 12. Like, I just think
the Capitals are dumb if they do. If it's 12 over 1, I get that, but outside.
Well, dude, like, he wins the Rocket almost every year. Like,
I don't think this year. That was Matthews.
Like, you're not really in a place to negotiate if you're the Capitals. You need him more than he needs you, if that makes sense.
I guess so. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, what are we talking about? Ovechkin re-signing?
Yeah, like, do you think he resigns with the Capitals? What does it look like?
Yeah, I think he would re-sign with the Capitals. It would be an exciting day if he was to leave.
I think it would be too. I mean, but we also got to remember there's that wild card of Seattle. They could offer him whatever they want for 1 or 2 years. You don't know that. He's going to, like, free agency. So they could say, you know, Ovi, we'll give you what's the most you can offer a player, man? Is it like
16.3?
60, we can give you 16.3 for 1 year to come here. He might say, yeah, all right.
That'd be fun.
Dude, I'd love that. That would be amazing. But we'll see.
But I think the question kind of is, do you think Washington could win cups in the next few years? I think people got to ask that question. Josh, what do you think?
I don't know if you have Ovechkin, I think when you have a player like him, you're always in the conversation to win a cup.
But will you actually win? I think.
But
So.
will you do it? It's kind of like the Oilers. I think they need a couple more pieces now because their time is kind of past. If you know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean.
Washington's not flexible at all. Like you look at their cap friendly, they have so many guys on long
Yeah, they got
contracts. Like
no
Brandon
room.
Dillon has 4 more years. Lars Eller has 3 more years. Like I don't know who negotiates these contracts, but they're not very flexible. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Do we have Matt's debates?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, but wait. Before we get the Matt's debates, Brandon and I, we're both lefty golfers. So we just want to shout out 50-year-old Phil Mickelson for winning his latest major this past weekend. It was quite the scene over there. And that was a pretty amazing thing to watch. Brandon, do you have any comments on old Phil winning his latest major?
That was fun. What is he? Was he 50 or 60?
50. He's not 60, he's 50.
50. So oldest man to win. And good old Rick, he said, or we were talking with our buddy Rick, asking if Tiger would have called Phil to congratulate him, but it actually sent out a tweet later that day congratulating Phil, which I thought was just as nice if they didn't exchange a phone call. So the golf world takes a turn for the old timers, and if not the old timers, it takes a turn for the lefties. And that's an exciting day for golf. If you don't understand it, Matt, it's essentially like Tiger Woods winning. Lefty is essentially America's favorite as well. I would say some of them think that he's better than Tiger Woods down there.
That's idiotic. All right, Nats debates.
Okay. So obviously we have a McDavid question.
No.
So if you were Connor McDavid, when would you ask for a trade? So what point, if you're Connor McDavid, you just get pissed and you say, I'm done. I don't care if I have to sit for half a year where you guys work out a deal, but I'm done. I'm leaving. So Josh, if you're Connor McDavid, when would you ask for a trade?
Well, here's the thing. 2 years ago, he had a conversation with then Oilers GM saying they are, or was he, whatever. They had a conversation.
As soon as Ken Holland came. I know.
Yeah, as soon as Ken Holland showed up, they said, we got a 2-year plan, stick around till then. That was in 2019. It's 2021. That's 2 years later. So do you stick to your guns and start maybe making some noise, or are you sticking around because you think they can make some moves this offseason? If I'm McDavid, I stick it around for 1 or 2 more years because I do think they have some pieces there with the salary cap and the salary space they have. They can make some moves. You got some good pieces on the D line. You know, Darnell Nurse is a staple back there. You got Evan Bouchard coming up too. And you got Leon Draisaitl. He's fantastic. We'll see what they do, but I think McDavid, I don't think he's traded before the end of his contract, to be honest. But if I was McDavid, I would start maybe sniffing around.
Brandon, what about you?
How many years does he have left on his current deal?
I think he still has 6. Yeah, 5 or 6.
I'd say do or die is after next year. So that's like 3 or 4 important things, right? That's
Brandon, wait. What's do or die for you? Is that like win a cup or win a round?
Yeah. Well, if I finished, I was mentioning 3 or 4 different highlights that would take place between now and essentially what might be the next offseason for him is a year to today, 365 days. You take into consideration, if I'm Connor McDavid, the exact moves that the Oilers do in the offseason to add to you and your preferences. I mean, it's quite possible. Like just as LeBron, Kawhi, Chris Paul, even a couple guys in the NBA, they delegate those decisions to like what kind of players they want down to those players. Like the leaders will say, hey, these are the guys I like on free agency. I think we should probably get these guys because I'll match well with them. And you saw that with Matthews and Galchenyuk. Like they trained together a little bit, and I think Matthews almost helped Galchenyuk get a spot on this team. And I don't know if it was just solely them, but I'm pretty sure I heard a story about them working out together in the offseason and training together. So I think for McDavid, he has to start, you say eyeing other teams. He has to start eyeing other players and honestly doing a little bit of Kawhi Leonard, like, hey, Paul George, like you got to get out of there. Like maybe he just tells someone else they have to get out of there and he'll make something happen. Maybe he has to get a little bit devious. Like I said, my first point would be this offseason, and he has to do a little bit of work too if he has any people he'd like to add, maybe look across overseas, add someone else from who's undrafted or whatever. The second would be the performance of the Oilers from the start of next season to the trade deadline. And then the trade deadline would be another place where he has to assess how they do it again. Essentially, he's just giving them one more chance, really, on every aspect of the season. And then he would be reassessed if and whether or not they make the playoffs and how long they go in there. And then the result of the season. So, I mean, obviously, no playoffs. That's a huge, huge red flag. Elimination in the first round is pretty much a red flag, and then a second round would be a whole different conversation. So I think they've done it before. It's kind of sad that it's taken such a deep turn and deep dive off the deep end rather for the Oilers and the rest of their team. But if I'm McDavid, obviously it sucks to be locked in this long. You got to start thinking about how you're going to help yourself.
Matt, what do you think about that?
Honestly, man, like, I know that we are Canadians and you do hear the Canadian narrative. We want all Canadian teams to be good, like Josh, what I'm trying to say. But I just don't think Edmonton has the resources and structure to benefit McDavid in terms of Kevin Lowe is still there for unknown reason. I didn't even know Gretzky was in the head office, but apparently he was. Me and Josh still don't know what role he had.
No idea.
So I just feel like it's such a mess. Still, like I said, Dave Tippett benching everybody. So I don't think they even have the management system right. Like I was looking at their cap friendly, and they still are paying Benoit Pouliot from a buyout from 2017. Like they bought out Andre Secura and they pay him 1.5. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Koskinen contract, the Neil contract. Like, I just feel like so much that's not even on the ice at this point. That if I was McDavid, I just want to go to a well-run, structured organization that's had success, like how the Leafs have a good structure. So I would want to go to the Leafs. Even the Habs know what they're doing. Even Philly tries to go for it more than Edmonton does. So I think Edmonton sets the bar so low that it's going to get to a point where McDavid just like, you know what? I just want someone who actually knows what they're doing. Because if they are bad next year, I think they'll be good because it is going back to normal and they're going to play the California teams. But
what do you think?
I think, say they miss the playoffs, so they get swept again. I think everyone's getting fired before McDavid gets traded, if that makes more sense. But if you fire everyone again,
the
you're
only
starting
player
from
on the
scratch.
roster will be McDavid.
Like I don't even know what to do at this point. So I think if I was McDavid, I would give it 1 year, 2. I have no idea. I would have asked for a trade a few years ago, to be honest with you. I wouldn't even sign that contract for 8 years. I don't know what he was thinking there. But anyways,
it's a 10-year contract.
No, that's illegal.
That's illegal now. Yeah. So next question. Brandon actually made it up. Should Kawhi Leonard leave the Clippers because they're down 0-2 to the Dallas Mavs? So, Brandon, I want to hear your opinion. Do you think Kawhi should leave, come back to Toronto? What do you think Kawhi should do?
Can I jump in for a second? The way you worded
sure.
that sounded like, should he leave tonight? Like just after game 2, just leave. Sorry, I got the.
Brandon knows what I meant.
I know. I just the way you worded it, it was like all right, I'm done. I'm going back to Toronto.
You know what's funny, Josh? Yeah, One second. They literally asked this question on ESPN in front of millions of people. I copied word for word what the question is. And some tells me you're the only person out of millions that interpret it that way. Anyways, Brandon, go ahead.
That's funny, but yeah, like, so I guess at the end of this year, it's the option. And we're speaking about, it's always a funny transition. You say McDavid signs a stupid contract, 8 years, locks himself in like that, but Kawhi signed a little bit of a smarter contract with a 3-year firm, 2-year. I guess whatever the term is for it. He signed a 2-year with the 3rd-year option, I guess, the player option. So this year he'd be a restricted free agent. The next year he'll be a UFA. This is pretty embarrassing. You can't panic until you're eliminated. God forbid they go down 3-0 and then come back maybe 4-3. That'd be amazing. However, at this rate, it's pretty sad. And I was taking a look down their roster today and taking a look at the last box score. I was just really like taken back. And I was looking at the Mavericks and I was like, had to give them credit where credit was due. Luka himself is tearing the team apart, and Kristaps is healthy, and they have even a couple other deeper bench players than that and starters. With the Clippers, I'm really seeing a lot of lack at center. They have Marcus Morris Sr. starting, and Rondo coming off the bench and is still not really performing as the playoff Rondo. So maybe he's just selling them for the Lakers and he signed this deal out of a joke. But right now it's pretty sad. And, you mentioned how Vegas does all those big year trades and has a new team every year. Like, other than Kawhi and Paul George, it's the same thing. They're adding these pieces around them that, you can't create friendship and structure and a relationship with. And every year is a new team. And, I thought they were built for this year, and they're getting completely dissected by a young Dirk Nowitzki almost.
Yeah, if I was Kawhi, like I think he's kind of an idiot because it's like you go to a new team, they
Hey,
could
what
get
about
any.
me?
No, Josh, one second. I'm gonna say something and I'll throw it back to you. So I kind of think like Kawhi, like you went to the Clippers and the guy you wanted them to get was Paul George. It's like that's literally Jack Eichel saying, "Yo, it's Taylor Hall time." It's like, dude, what do you think the result is? Like it's two guys. Like it's just not a good duo. Like you know what I'm trying to say.
It's
So anyways,
Taylor Hall time is a great hat.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. At
so
the time,
anyways.
no, I don't know. I don't know. At the time, like
that
Jack
is
Eichel's
what's
never.
happened.
Yes, but at the time when he asked for Paul George, and you say Jack Eichel, I mean, like Jack Eichel's never been a finalist MVP twice, defensive. Like I don't know. Like
Okay,
I get it. You're
let me
superstar asking for a superstar, but
this is the debate part. What I think with Kawhi, they had a core in San Antonio with everybody, and then he was kind of the unsung hero, a late first round pick. So he kind of came out of nowhere and got a ring. So I'm not saying it wasn't heated. Like, you know what I mean? He was a guy. He wasn't the main part of that team. And he won the, not Conn Smythe, what is it called? Playoff MVP because he guarded LeBron. But he was kind of more a young buck. And then he went to the Raptors where he didn't even want to come. And then we won the championship. Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of don't give Kawhi a lot of credit compared to everyone else. So what I'm saying is I don't really think he's the person to turn it around in the Clippers. But Josh, I want to throw it back to you. And this is actually kind of a hockey / question. So Kawhi
I'm
left
sorry.
the
I'm
Raptors.
sorry. I'm
Okay,
just
what's
dying.
happening?
I'm just dying at Jack Eichel sitting in the Taylor Hall, sitting in the GM's office, going, "Yo, it's Taylor Hall time."
Yeah, that's not good. But anyways, Josh, just kind of like I just kind of thought of this on the fly. Like Kawhi left Toronto, Vince Carter left, and as soon as Matthews signed that deal, everyone's like, he's gonna leave. He's gonna leave. Marner, I don't know if he went to Columbus, but he was entertaining at Columbus.
That was cool. I don't think that ever fucking.
That was funny. That was fun. I just want to get you going.
There's no way Columbus is going to offer him $16 million a year.
Yeah, that was really funny. But anyways, do you think there is kind of a problem with Toronto sport athletes not wanting to stay, Josh? You not really see it that way. What's your whole take on that?
In basketball, yeah. In hockey, no. In hockey, they're treated like royalty. Basketball, the Blue Jays have a huge issue with it. Those are kind of really the only teams we have here. We don't have an NFL team, and the NNL, you get what you get. But no, it's definitely with like in basketball. I think it is a huge issue, and I think the problem is they same with the MLB. They're the only team here.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're on a Toronto team and you have to do an away game, and we've heard NBA players say this, and we've heard MLB players say this, their main issue is, I got to go through customs. I got to do this. I got to do that. Toronto's a fantastic city to live in. We've heard athletes say that. Didn't Kawhi say he'd love living in Toronto?
Yeah, he said it was a mini New York. Yeah.
His main reason was that everything was connected underground, so he didn't have to go outside or something like that. I remember one athlete.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Right. So, I think once athletes are here, they're okay with it, but
it's the idea of coming.
It's the idea of coming here. Once they experience it, they're fine. I think in the situation of Kawhi, he just kind of wanted to go home.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? I respect that. That's fine. He earned that right with his contract. And what more could we have asked from him? He came here, he brought the city a championship, and then he said, you know what, I'm going to go to the Clippers and be mediocre for the rest of my career. So, whatever they do there, sorry, Brendan, but it's true. Whatever they do, whatever he does, he's either going to leave and go ring chasing with the fucking Nets or the Lakers. Like, my money's on him going down the road and joining LeBron. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny, yeah.
But, I mean, whatever happens there. Your Toronto question,
it's not down the road. It's down the fucking hallway.
Yeah, well, it's the same building. You're right. It's just switch dressing rooms. But no, we'll see what happens there. But your question about Toronto athletes, I don't think it applies to the NHL. I think it's more the other two sports. And I think that is slowly starting to change because we saw the Raptors comments this year. And I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was mainly Fred VanVleet was saying like, oh, it was in Tampa. And Tampa would be a prime destination for an athlete to play. It's sunny all the time and all that. But they were saying, it's not Toronto. The people aren't as nice. The people aren't as welcome, blah, blah, blah. I think athletes are slowly realizing how great of a place Toronto is to play. And I think that's because
how passionate the fan base is.
How passionate, yeah. If you play in Toronto, if you're an MLB team or you're a
Any
NBA
athlete,
team,
literally, yeah.
I'm going to exclude NHL. If you're an MLB athlete or you're an NBA athlete, so if you play for the Jays or the Raptors, you're not playing for Toronto. You're playing for Canada. You're the only team in Canada.
Yeah, but Leaf fans are so much better than all the other Canadian markets.
There's a clip.
It's just facts.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, let's exclude NHL from this. I think that's unfair. There's seven Canadian markets. If you're a Jays fan,
Ottawa doesn't count.
sure, whatever. If you play for the Jays, you're not competing for the Winnipeg.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good
Cardinals
point.
or whatever. Like, fans in Winnipeg are cheering for the Blue Jays. That's the only team in Canada, right? So I
understand your point.
I think players are slowly, whatever. Next question.
2 more questions. Let's move on. Okay, I have one actual hockey one and then just a fun one. Okay, so this is kind of big. So just bear with me. Do you think hockey would benefit with more fan interactions, like Steve Dangle watch party to the games, or the Twitch streams that some of the athletes have been doing? Or what would you personally do to connect with the ESPN hockey audience that's coming?
Can I go first?
Yeah, sure.
I love the idea of the Steve Dangle reaction party or stuff like that. And I think it's a great idea. It's not for me. When I watch the game, I don't want.
Well, it's for new fans. It's just like everybody.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So like,
that's a good point. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's not for me, but I do like the idea of it. Like, I watched the highlights from it after. Like, I hate to call it a highlight, and I feel bad about this, but when Tavares got hurt, I went and looked up Steve Dangle's highlight. I wanted to see what he said about it in real time.
Real time, yeah.
But when I'm watching the game live, I don't want someone talking over it. It would be like me and Brandon watching the game. And Brandon, I'm sure you like to watch the game in silence and observe it, and we only talk during commercial breaks. But that would be like me and Brandon watching a game and him constantly whispering in my ear. I feel like that would be the same thing. Do they need more interaction with fans? 100%. Not during the games. I think they need to take advantage of that second screen, which is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, all that good stuff. Twitch, maybe not so much during the game, unless you are exclusively streaming a game on Twitch, which I don't think they would ever do. I know the NWHL does it. I don't think the NHL would do that. But yeah, if they're going over to TNT, I think we're going to see some pretty creative stuff going on.
Brandon, what do you think? You want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, repeat the question exactly.
Okay, the exact question is, do you think hockey would benefit with more fan interactions like the Steve Dangle watch party or Twitch live streams? Or what would you do to engage with the new hockey audience coming from ESPN and TNT?
I'm not too familiar actually with the Steve Dangle live reaction thing.
You just watch the game with a personality, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, obviously, I understand watching the game with one of like an influencer, and I know Kenny of the Fourth Quarter is a big guy for the NBA. There's a lot of MLB YouTubers, whatever. People who care about the sport, who are influencers, have an audience. That's great. I think that although they're already like people have, it's hard, right? It's a really hard thing to do. I think the main audience will be through TV. Like not everyone's going to be going through Twitch, trying to watch the game on their computer or whatever. Obviously, I think the engagement level is the people who deliver the sport to them as a reporter. You've seen it through Stephen A. Smith and hopefully Wayne Gretzky. And if those are the guys portraying the sport to you, like it's an embarrassment of riches because you have a guy who can cover it passionately without much knowledge, which might bring some eyes because it'll be charismatic, which will be Stephen A. Smith just rambling about hockey.
That'd be
and all
great.
of a sudden you have the greatest hockey player ever to live, giving you a little bit of back ice advantage and behind the scenes. And all of a sudden I think that the States are going to be lucky just in the terms of the celebrities they have on their channels. I think other than that, they're good. I think hockey and them having the fans back in the States first is you're seeing it. Like Vegas is packed. I'm not too worried just yet about like hockey.
Carolina is the biggest example for me.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go on. Okay, so last question. Okay. If you were to watch a live sporting event with any athlete, but it had to be an athlete in that sport, who would it be? So you're watching an NBA game with Michael Jordan. You're watching a UFC fight with Conor McGregor. You're watching a hockey game, but it has to be a hockey guy. So you're watching the Leaf game with Doug Gilmour. Or you're watching a hockey game with Matthews or something like that. What sport and what athlete in that sport would you want to watch the whole sporting event with? Should I go first or you guys want to go first?
Can you go first on that one?
Yeah, I have two. I would want to watch.
Can I have two as well?
Yeah, so I'd want to watch a football game with Tom Brady. That's right. One.
That's a good one. I like that.
or a UFC fight with Conor McGregor.
That would be amazing.
Those are my two. Maybe McGregor first, and then Brady second. I think Brady would actually dissect the game and be like, "This was happening." I'm really interested in that football stuff, and I think McGregor would just go nuts.
Matt, I gotta ask you something quickly. Is Tim Tebow actually gonna take a snap this year?
No, he'll just be a practice squad, kind of like a mentor kind of guy for all their young players. That's what, because him and Urban Meyer, like he'll be like what's it called, like a coach player, like kind of what Lemieux did with Crosby. Like he'll be one of those guys.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway,
I was talking about that. I was talking about that with my with Maddie's brother-in-law. So
yeah, maybe in exhibition games you see him catch a ball. But no, I don't see it, because tight end's too tough a position. You're running, you're catching, you're blocking. Yeah. It's tough. Anyways, Josh, you know who you want to watch the game with?
Brandon, do you have an answer yet? All right, I'll go with if I'm watching a hockey game. Oh boy, I think I got to go with hockey. I'm gonna go with my two favorite sports. I'd love to watch a hockey game with Mark Messier.
There's a lot of yelling.
Because I do not like Mark Messier. I want to see what he says about the game.
Oh, the stuff you don't agree with, like, crush it in the head, do this, do
that.
that.
I want to see what he would say. Like, I want to watch the last Leafs-Habs game with him just to see what he thought about it and point out stuff that maybe I didn't see. And I would love to watch a WWE event that was not produced by him, but I would love to watch a WWE event with Vince McMahon.
That's a good one. Brandon, do you have one yet or no?
Yeah.
Brandon, tell me I'm wrong though. You would love to watch an event with Vince. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I was trying to think of someone else, honestly, like Santino Marella.
Well, like maybe what about one of those like Randy Orton would be a cool one too.
Oh, I know, but I'm just trying to be
ring psychology.
I'm looking around and like the biggest piece of history to me would be watching a hockey game with Sidney Crosby. Pretty much the biggest inspiration. I had like a 6'5", 6-foot poster of him in my room. Every day I would measure up against it, and I think that he's a true icon to me. And his mind speaks louder than most of his abilities. I mean, his abilities are amazing, but I think his IQ is really otherworldly. And I don't want to pick two sports here because the question is 1-on-1, and Sidney Crosby and hockey will be my answer.
That's a good one. Can I throw out one that I think we would all enjoy?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
He obviously rest in peace, but I think we would all love to watch a basketball game with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, that's a good pick too.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Walter Gretzky too would be a good one.
That would be a good one too. I mean, and
it's a great question.
Yeah. Okay. Way to pump your own fucking tires, buddy. I'd love to watch a Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay just to see what he's thinking.
Oh my God, we should have done every single event, like watch a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio of Leonardo DiCaprio.
To get a reflection. I want to watch Jumanji with The Rock.
Yeah, or like watch like a Drake concert with Drake beside you. Yeah.
I want to watch it. Do you remember OVO? I think it was OVO Fest 2017 where he opened Dissing Meek Mill.
OVO.
Whatever. I want to watch that with Meek Mill.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be funny.
Yeah, Matt, do you want to sign us off this week? You kind of carried the show.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, it was a great show. I love it when
wait, Matt, show us your shirt.
Oh, I'm wearing my friend's T-shirt.
Are you excited for the reunion? It's tonight at midnight. Are you excited for it?
I probably won't watch it live because there is some late basketball games on.
Well, no, it's on Crave, so it's not live. So it's on.
Oh yeah. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
So
I love streaming.
Matt, do you like Friends?
Yeah, I love Friends.
Are we gonna do an Orion Sportscast Friends reunion recap?
I don't think that would get a lot of views with our hockey basketball crowd.
I think you think that wrong. Maybe we should do a 10-minute segment next show.
That's something we're due, like for the next lockdown.
Speaking of a 10-minute segment, J. Cole played about 10 minutes worth of basketball. Now he's done with his contract over there, and he's back home.
His contract was for 10 minutes?
Essentially, he's fulfilled his obligations, played 3 to 5 games, and now he's had family duties, and he's sent back. He's been, I guess they've asked him to, he's asked to be sent back home.
No, I don't want to bring that up because I think there's actually something going on in his family, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I won't say what I was going to say then.
Well, it's news, and that's what the media portrayed, so.
So instead of Matt's debates next episode, can we do a Friends reunion recap?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay.
All right,
I won't
Matt,
be there.
Matt, take it away. Brandon, you'll be here. You'll just be on your phone. Matt,
I
take it
hate
away.
Friends.
Yep, enjoy the games. We have the Leafs clinching. We have everyone. Playoffs is amazing. First round, everything. See you guys later.
Buzz.
Like, comment, and subscribe.